The Forbidden Touch. The twin moons of planet Zerulus floated above the golden towers of the royal palace. Inside the palace, silence ruled. The air was filled with perfume, soft lights, and ancient whispers that never died. She was called Empress Leora, ruler of 15 star systems, owner of diamonds that hung in space, and feared by all. But tonight, she sat alone. She stared at the strange man in chains, a human. He had short dark hair, a wounded arm, and tired eyes that still held fire. His name was Commander Jax. He had been captured during a failed mission to rescue refugees on a nearby planet. "Why is he still alive?" asked her advisor, a tall alien with silver skin. "Because," she said, "he looked at me without fear." That was dangerous. No one ever looked at the Empress like that. Not soldiers, not slaves, not even kings. But Jax did. They brought him to her private chamber. Not the prison, not the court. The Chamber of Stars, where no man had ever been invited, especially not a human. "You understand what this means," the advisor warned her. "No one touches a human. Not after the ancient laws. Not after the Great Silence." She ignored him. She waved her hand, and the guards left. The doors closed. Now it was just the Empress and the human. Jax stood tall, even with chains on his hands. "You're not afraid of me?" Leora asked. "I've seen worse," he said. She smiled. Not a fake smile. A real one. She hadn't smiled like that in years. She stepped closer to him. He didn't move back. Her fingers brushed his skin. That was the moment everything changed. A loud crack echoed across the palace. The lights flickered. The palace AI screamed in 10 languages. "Warning. Energy surge detected. Source unknown." Outside, the moons blinked. In space, far satellites turned toward Zerulus. Even planets light years away felt something. A wave of energy. Pleasure. Power. Desire. Something the galaxy hadn't felt in 10,000 years. Inside the chamber, Leora pulled her hand away. "What was that?" she whispered. Jax looked at her, surprised. "I thought it was you." "No," she said. "That wasn't me." She turned to the wall. A hologram appeared. Maps. Sensors. Alarms. The entire capital was glowing red. The core reactors were heating. The stars were changing color. And all of it started the second she touched the human. Far away, in the secret halls of the Galactic Council, an old being opened his one red eye. He hadn't moved in a century. "She touched him," he said. "It has begun." Back on Zerulus, Leora stared at Jax. "Who are you?" she asked. "Just a soldier," he replied. "No," she whispered. "You're more." She stepped closer again. Slowly, like walking into fire, like swimming in ice. She touched his cheek. This time, her knees almost gave out. In the next room, the royal servants screamed. Their skin burned with invisible heat, their minds filled with visions they couldn't understand. Some saw love, some saw death. One servant collapsed and whispered, "The stars are screaming." Leora grabbed Jax's hand. "What did you do to me?" He shook his head. "I don't know." But deep inside him, something woke up. Something old, something that had been asleep for centuries. And it liked her touch. The air turned warm, then cold. Then it shimmered with gold. Lyra felt her heart beating faster than ever before. She had lovers before. Many. But none of them ever made her heart race. None of them made the galaxy react. "You don't belong in chains," she said at last. "Not anymore." With a gesture, the chains broke. Jax didn't run. He didn't kneel either. He just looked at her with those deep human eyes. And for the first time in her life, Empress Leora felt weak. Not because she was losing, but because she didn't want to win. Outside the chamber, the stars flickered again. The royal scientist ran into the communication tower. He sent a message to the council. The human has been touched. Prepare for the awakening. But the message didn't go through, because the communication systems were already melting. Back in the chamber, Jax whispered, "I don't know what's happening, but it feels like the whole universe is watching us." The Empress nodded slowly. "It is," she said. "They told me this would never happen. They warned me." She looked up at the ceiling, at the stars shining through the glass. "But I don't care." She kissed him, and the galaxy shivered. What woke beneath the stars? The stars did not sleep that night. After Empress Leora kissed the human, something ancient began to stir, something older than the Empire, older than time. In the deep void beyond the last known galaxy, a black moon cracked open. It wasn't a moon. It was a prison. And inside, the creature opened its golden eyes for the first time in 10,000 years. "The human has been touched," it whispered. "She has awakened me." Far across space, in the vault of echoes, alarms rang for the first time in history. Inside, a silver machine shaped like a tree lit up. Its branches pointed toward Zerulus. Its roots shook with light. The keepers panicked. One of them fell to his knees, trembling. "This shouldn't be possible," he said. "The last time this happened," another whispered, "entire star systems burned with pleasure and madness." Back on Zerulus, Empress Leora sat on the edge of her bed, breathing heavily. Her body still trembled. Her lips still burned from the kiss. Jack stood near the glass wall, looking out at the swirling stars. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them needed to. The silence between them was louder than words. Something had changed. Leora could feel it, not just inside her, but around her. She called her Palace Eye. "Status report," she said. The AI's voice came, broken and slow. "Core systems, destabilizing. Cosmic fields, bending. Unknown energy, detected in your heart." "My what?" she asked. The AI paused. "In your heart. You carried the signal." Jax turned. "I feel strange too." She looked at him. "What are you feeling?" He hesitated, like something is watching me. Inside me. Then, without warning, he dropped to his knees. He gasped. He clutched his chest. "Jax!" She rushed to him. A glowing symbol began to appear on his skin. It pulsed. It shimmered. Then it spoke, not out loud, but through the air itself. "The gate is open." In the Galactic Council's secret chamber, the oldest beings stood up from their crystal thrones. They had not stood in 1,000 years. A giant eye-shaped screen showed Zerulus glowing like a sun. "He has activated the gate," said the eldest. "Impossible. He doesn't know what he is," another replied. The room trembled. "It doesn't matter. The galaxy will know soon." Leora held Jax in her arms. He was sweating, glowing, shaking. "You are more than human," she whispered. "No," he said through clenched teeth. "I'm just a soldier. I never asked for this." She placed her hand on his chest. "Neither did I," she whispered. Then, just like before, when she touched him, the entire palace shook. A light exploded in the sky above the city. People fell to their knees in the streets, crying, laughing, screaming. Some fainted. Some began singing in alien tongues they had never learned. The pleasure pulse had returned, and it was stronger than before. Inside a lab deep under the palace, an old scientist activated a forbidden scanner. It scanned the Empress. The results made his blood run cold. "She is carrying a vibration," he whispered. His assistant frowned. "What kind?" He turned to her, eyes wide. "The kind that makes planets dream." In a jungle planet 2 galaxies away, a group of blind monks stood up together. One of them pointed to the stars. "She has chosen," he said. "And the stars feel her joy," replied another. On a lonely mining planet, a boy looked up at the night sky. The stars were pulsing. He smiled, then fainted. His dreams showed him a human man and a glowing woman standing inside a burning galaxy. They held hands. The stars wept light around them. Back in Zerulus, Jax finally stood up again. His shirt was ripped. His body was glowing faintly. His eyes had changed. They were still human, but deeper, older. "Something's inside me," he said. Lyora looked into his eyes. "Not something," she said. "Someone." Then the door to her chamber exploded. Guards rushed in. One was shaking. "Your Majesty, there are riots. People are changing. Some are flying. Some are floating." One woman grew wings. Lyora stood. "All because of him." "No," Jax said. "Because of us." Meanwhile, the Black Moon prison opened fully. The golden-eyed creature stepped out. It was huge, covered in symbols, skin made of stars. It looked to the east, toward Zerulus. "My pleasure returns to the galaxy," it said. "My bride has found her key." In the Chamber of Codes, a door began to unlock. A door untouched for 12,000 years. It whispered, "The Creator is near. Prepare the cradle." In the palace, Lyora stood before her people. "I don't know what's happening," she said, "but I won't run from it. This is no longer just about the throne." She looked at Jax. "This is about the entire galaxy, and somehow, you are the center of it." Jax looked out the window again. He could see something moving between the stars now. A shadow, a shape, coming closer. And then, for the first time in history, every star in the galaxy blinked at once, and every living creature heard the same sentence inside their mind. "He has been touched." The cycle begins again. The pleasure war begins. The galaxy had known wars before, wars over land, over stars, over power. But never like this. This war was over pleasure. And it began with a kiss. For days after Empress Lyora touched the human, the galaxy changed. On planets far away, entire cities trembled with emotion. People reported visions. Some claimed they saw gods. Others claimed they became them for a moment. But one thing was clear. They all felt what she felt. Her pleasure. Her connection. Her love. And for the first time, the galaxy wanted what one woman had. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. 12 alien rulers sat around a cold white table, their faces tight with fear. "She has awakened something forbidden," said the Queen of Glass, her voice echoing like crystal wind. "She has bonded with a human." The Steel Emperor growled. "That is a cosmic crime." Another, wrapped in shadow, whispered, "Then why does the universe sing?" As they argued, their own people began to change. Soldiers dropped their weapons and laughed. Farmers wrote poems in the dirt, crying for someone they had never met. Even the council members themselves felt something stirring in their hearts, something long buried. Desire. Not lust, not hunger, but soul-deep longing. And they knew where it came from. They knew who caused it. Back on Zerulus, Jax stood before a giant mirror in the Empress's chamber. His reflection didn't look like him anymore. His body glowed faintly. Symbols had formed on his back, galactic runes that no one had spoken in 10,000 years. "You carry the seed of stars," Lyora told him, her voice both proud and terrified. "That sounds important," Jax said quietly. "It is," she replied. "It means your touch, your love, is a weapon, a cure, a virus, a prophecy." "Great," he sighed. "I was just trying to survive a rescue mission. Now I'm a galactic romance nuke." The first attack came at midnight. 3 battle queens from rival systems launched fleets toward Zerulus. Their message was simple: surrender the human, or we take him ourselves. The Empress didn't hesitate. "Then you'll burn," she said. A space battle erupted above Zerulus. The sky turned red. Stars flickered. Warships danced like angry dragons. But as they fought, something strange happened. Every time a ship exploded, Flower-like energy burst from it instead of fire. Pilots began to cry inside their cockpits. Some turned off their weapons mid-fight. One fleet commander even whispered, "Why does my heart ache for a man I've never seen?" Jax watched it all from the tower balcony. "This is insane," he muttered. "No," Leora said beside him. "This is ancient." In a hidden archive beneath the palace, Leora found an old stone tablet. It showed an image of a human male and a star-crowned female locked in an embrace. Under it, carved in ancient language, "When flesh meets flame, the stars will open again, and war will become desire." Jax wasn't just any human. He was a carrier, a vessel of lost connection. And now every queen, warlord, and ruler in the galaxy wanted him, to control, to destroy, or to claim for themselves. Elsewhere, on a jungle world ruled by the Sisters of Serenity, their oracle screamed during meditation. "I saw him," she gasped. The human. His heartbeat made the forests bloom. The high priestess shivered. "Then we must bring him here, even if it means war." Another empress, this one with hair made of living fire, sat on her golden throne. Her guards bowed. "The pleasure pulse reached us, my lady. What are your orders?" She smiled darkly. "Find the human," she said. "Bring him to me. I'll show him real fire." Meanwhile, Jax and Leora hid in an old ship under the palace. "Where are we going?" Jax asked. "Anywhere the stars don't listen," she replied. But it was no use. The stars were already listening, and they were whispering his name. While they traveled through hidden wormholes, Jax began having dreams. In them, he saw his own face, but older, glowing, surrounded by alien lovers, kings, and warriors kneeling before him. In every dream, he was called the same name: the Catalyst. One night, he woke up with a jolt. "I think I'm becoming something else," he told Leora. "You always were," she replied gently. And she kissed him again. This time, the ship's engines purred like a beast in love. Elsewhere, a mysterious force watched them through a tear in time. It wore no face. It had no body. But it had been waiting. "Let them fall deeper," it said to the void. "Soon, they will wake the source. And then, the real pleasure war begins." Back on Zerulus, the people rebelled. Not against Leora, but against the silence. They danced in the streets. They carved Jax's name into stone. Children were born with glowing eyes. Animals began to speak dreams. And through it all, the message spread like wildfire. The human brings the feeling back. In a grand meeting of 1,000 worlds, a final vote was called. Declare him a threat or a miracle. The result shocked everyone. Half the galaxy chose miracle. The other half chose mine. So now everyone is coming. Every queen, every hunter, every empire. They don't want to destroy him anymore. They want to possess him. And in the distance, a mysterious figure steps onto an asteroid throne. She smiles and says, "I felt her joy. Across the stars. I must feel it for myself. The human will be mine." The Galactic Council's secret. The stars held their breath. The warships had stopped moving. The pleasure wave had passed, leaving behind a galaxy both confused and hungry. Hungry for answers. Hungry for the human. Hungry for the feeling that once made them alive. But in the hidden halls of the Galactic Council, where silence was older than stars, something far worse was happening. A secret was about to break. And secrets, once broken, do not heal. Deep beneath the planet Soverian, in a chamber carved into pure black stone, 12 ancient beings gathered around a sphere of floating starlight. The council was made of species that did not speak with mouths, did not see with eyes, and did not live by time. Yet today, they all looked, afraid. The sphere pulsed with soft light, her pleasure still echoing across space. It wasn't just a signal. It was a key. "He's unlocked it," said the Seer of Winds, her body half vapor, half bone. "The code?" asked the blue-mind monarch, shifting in water. "No," said the oldest among them, his voice so low it cracked the walls. "Something worse." He pointed toward the starlight. "He has opened the gate of origin. Thousands of years ago, the galaxy was ruled by humans. Not like Jax, not warriors or workers, but creators. They didn't build machines. They breathed them into existence. They didn't use love to heal. Their love rewrote reality. One touch, one bond, and galaxies shifted. But that power was too much. It drove them mad. It destroyed their unity. So the council of that time locked the creators away, deep in frozen black stars, hidden across forgotten systems. Then they erased the history. Humans became myths. Lovers became weapons. And the only rule that remained was clear. Never touch a human with feeling. But Empress Leora had broken the rule. She hadn't just touched a human. She had loved him. And in doing so, she had reopened a door the council had buried in the fabric of space. Now, that door was open. And something was stepping through. Back aboard their ship, drifting beyond the Zyrillus system, Jax sat alone. He looked at his hands. They glowed now, not with light, but with meaning. He couldn't stop hearing voices, but they weren't voices exactly. They were feelings from people across the galaxy. A child's laughter from a jungle planet. A widow's tears on a mining moon. A queen's breath catching in her throat. They were all feeling him, and it was tearing him apart. Leora walked into the room quietly. "You're glowing again," she said softly. "I'm not doing it on purpose," he said. She knelt beside him. "Do you trust me?" Jax looked into her eyes. "Yes." "Then come with me. There's something I need to show you." They flew to a hidden planet, one not on any map, surrounded by dead satellites and long-forgotten mornings. It was called Eris 7. There, deep inside a cave shaped like a heart, lay a tomb. Leora placed her hand on the wall, and it opened. Inside was a chamber made of mirrors, showing not reflections, but memories. Equals memories of her ancestors. Memories of the first Empress. She had a human lover too, and she died screaming his name as the galaxy fell apart. Leora looked at Jax. "I was told this story as a myth. I thought it was a lie. But now, I understand." Jax touched one of the mirrors. Suddenly, his eyes flashed. He saw visions. Himself, naked, crying, creating a star from his chest. Thousands of alien beings kneeling before him, reaching up with joy. And then, fire, death, silence. He pulled back. "I've seen this before, in dreams." Leora took a deep breath. "Because you are one of them." "One of who?" She stepped back, her voice shaking. "You're not just a soldier. You're a rebirth unit." "A what?" "In the old war, when the creator humans were defeated, a few were hidden, reprogrammed, sent to sleep inside the genes of future humans, hidden as regular people. You are one of them, Jax. You are the last living creator." Jax sat down, overwhelmed. "I don't want to be a god. I just wanted to save people. That's it." Leora knelt and held his hand. "Then save us, all of us. Because now, everyone wants you. Not for who you are, but for what you can give." He looked up at her. "And what do you want?" She smiled through her fear. "Just you." Meanwhile, back in the council chamber, the blue sphere shattered. Out of the starlight came a face, half human, half machine, glowing with rage and desire. It was one of the ancient creators, awakened too early. He had no name, only purpose. "The human has touched a queen," he growled. "Now let the galaxy bleed pleasure." He raised his hand. And on a planet light years away, a temple exploded in golden fire. The pleasure war was no longer about Jax. It was about awakening. Across the stars, long-forgotten human creators began to stir in dreams. Alien queens gathered their armies, not just to fight, but to seduce, to touch, to claim. Some wanted peace, most wanted control. And one, hidden deep in the center of a collapsing sun, opened her glowing eyes and whispered, "He is the seed, and I will bear his storm. The lovers must die." The galaxy was in heat. It wasn't desire in the ordinary sense. It was something far deeper, something coded into the stars. It was the memory of a touch, forbidden, primal, ancient, and it came from two souls, a human named Jax and an empress named Leora. But now, the galaxy wanted them gone. Word had spread. Too fast, too far. Across trade stations, memory clouds, and psychic rivers, the message echoed like wildfire. The human and the empress must die, before they awaken the others. In the high skies of planet Chera, banners were raised by the pleasure monks of the Fourth Light. They believed Jax was a false god. Their leader, a floating being made of smoke and crystal, declared, "Pleasure belongs to the stars, not to one man's bed." And so, they sent their finest assassin, a woman who felt nothing, whose heart was replaced with silence. Meanwhile, in the shadow courts of the sister queens, alliances were broken. One queen tore out her own heart to avoid dreaming of the human again. Another sent a gift to Zerulus, a golden box. Inside was a time bomb made of desire. It didn't kill the body. It made you fall in love with death. But Leora and Jax were no longer on Zerulus. They had gone into exile, fleeing from lovers and killers alike. They rode in an old star skiff, stolen from a dead prince. Its walls were weak, but its engine responded only to Leora's touch. They hid inside the scared belt, a graveyard of broken ships circling a forgotten sun. Leora sat beside Jax, their shoulders touching, silent. Jax stared at his hands. They no longer looked like hands. They shimmered with memories. "I dreamed last night," he said. "What did you see?" she whispered. "A garden made of stars. Children who spoke galaxies. You crying, because I was fading." She didn't answer, because she had dreamed the same thing. That night, she told him the truth. "There's a prophecy," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "Of course there is. If a human and a royal touch in real love, the creators awaken. But if they bond fully..." She paused. "The universe may be rewritten." Jax blinked. "Rewritten how?" "Desire becomes law. Thought becomes flesh. War becomes love. Forever." He frowned. "And that's a bad thing." "For some," she whispered, "it is death." Outside their skiff, a figure floated in silence. The assassin had arrived. She didn't breathe. She didn't blink. She only remembered the code she was given. Kill the human, and if the Empress resists, break her with her own pleasure. She pierced the hull without sound. Inside, Jax felt a shiver down his spine. Something was wrong. "Leora," he said quietly. She turned, too late. The assassin was already inside. A black needle shot through the air. Jax jumped in front of Leora. The needle struck him in the chest. He fell, but he didn't bleed. He glowed. The assassin stared in horror. No, this isn't right." Jax stood, his eyes burning with gold. The needle melted inside his heart. He stepped forward, and she trembled for the first time in her life. He touched her hand. She screamed, then laughed, then collapsed, weeping. "I remember," she whispered. "I remember what it felt like, to be held." Then she vanished into dust. Leora ran to Jax. "You're changing," she cried. "Your body. It's not just human anymore." "I know," he said softly. "And it's only getting worse." Back on Zerulus, rebellion had started. The council had declared the Empress a traitor. Her palace burned. One of her generals was caught whispering. I felt what she felt. And now, I can't love my own wife. For that they executed him. The council sent a message. Surrender the human and your titles may be restored. Leora crushed the message in her fist. They never gave me pleasure, she said. Only rules. Jax looked out into space. I think I'm becoming the gate, he said. What gate? She asked. The one between old and new. Between the life we knew and the one we're not ready for. The stars grew dim that night. In distant systems, strange children were born. Children who glowed. Children who dreamed the Empress's kiss before they could walk. One mother cried out, "He's not just a man. He's an awakening." But the council didn't care. They built a new weapon, one last hope to stop him. It was a being of pure silence. It could not love. It could not feel. And it was sent to find the lovers. Leora and Jax prepared to leave again. But Jax paused. What if they're right? He asked. What if we're a mistake? Leora held his face gently. Then let us be the most beautiful mistake the galaxy ever made. They kissed again. And the stars exploded with color. And somewhere far away, deep beneath a dead sun, something stirred. A voice whispered, "One more kiss, and I will return." When the galaxy moaned, it began with a sound. Not a scream, not a song, but something in between, a soft, trembling hum that rippled through the fabric of space. Some called it a vibration. Others felt it in their bones like the warmth of a lover's breath. But one word spread faster than the sound itself. The galaxy moaned. Across thousands of systems, ships froze mid-flight. Stars dimmed, then pulsed. Planets tilted slightly off their axis. And every sentient being, young or old, rich or poor, warrior or healer, felt a pulse in their chest that didn't belong to them. A heartbeat. Slow, heavy, familiar. It was his. Jax, the human. The last living seed of the creators. His body was no longer just flesh. He had become a conduit, a living channel of memory, touch, and emotion. And with each breath, he sent a wave of feeling through the stars. He did not know it, but the galaxy did. He lay in Empress Leora's arms inside their hidden star skiff. He trembled as if lightning lived inside him. His eyes no longer saw the world as it was, but as it had once been, long before the Great Silence. "I hear them," he whispered. "I hear everything." Leora brushed her fingers against his skin, glowing with symbols now so bright they lit up the chamber. "What do they say?" she asked. "They're asking." He swallowed. "They're asking if I can save them from emptiness." Elsewhere, far beyond, in the cradle of void, a place older than time, 6 forgotten beings awoke. They were not kings. They were not gods. They were echoes, beings made of feeling, created by the first creators to feed on touch and memory. For 10,000 years, they had slept. Now, they opened their mouths and moaned with the galaxy. Their eyes turned toward one name, Jax. On war-torn worlds, weapons dropped to the ground, soldiers fell into each other's arms, weeping. Old lovers forgave. Enemies held hands. Even machines short-circuited, whispering strange words like, "Warmth. Again. Hold me." Back inside the skiff, Leora gasped. The bed beneath them began to levitate, as if responding to their bond. They had crossed a line now. It was no longer just love. It was creation. Their kiss created wind where there was no air. Their skin hummed like twin suns. And when Leora whispered, "Don't let go," the universe whispered back, "We won't." In the Galactic Council chamber, panic ruled. The walls cracked from the pleasure wave. One counselor exploded into light. Another went mad, laughing as he tore out his artificial eyes. "He's become the pulse," one screamed. "He is rewriting us with emotion." The ancient law was clear. If ever the pulse returns through human flesh, purge the lovers before the galaxy melts. They voted. The decision: eliminate Jax, eliminate the Empress. Now, assassins were no longer enough. So they activated Project Cold Soul, an ancient being made of pure void, immune to pleasure, memory, and touch. It would hunt the lovers through dream and time. Back on the edge of the scared Dult, Jax stood at the ship's viewport. His eyes now saw threads, lines of emotion connecting every star to every soul. He lifted his hand. A distant moon blossomed into flowers. Another planet, long dead, awoke with music playing through its mountains. "I don't know how to stop it," he said. "You don't have to," Leora replied. This might be what the galaxy needed all along, but not everyone agreed. In dark temples, queens sharpened their tongues, warriors screamed in jealousy, and prophets swallowed poison just to dream of Jax. In secret, many had tried to recreate the bond. They brought humans into their chambers, touched them, kissed them. Some even loved them. But none made the galaxy moan. Only Jax. And that made him dangerous. He was no longer just a man. He was a mirror. Those who looked at him saw what they were missing. In the halls of the Void Cradle, the echoes spoke for the first time. "Bring him to us," they said in one voice. "We will teach him the final feeling." "What is it?" asked a guardian. They replied, "The pleasure that births galaxies, the climax of time, the scream before creation. We call it becoming." Back in the skiff, Leora rested her head on Jax's chest. His heartbeat wasn't steady anymore. It echoed like a drum. Louder, faster, and then it stopped. For one terrifying second, there was silence. Then his eyes opened, and the galaxy shivered again. Stars shifted from their place. Black holes hummed like harps. Children in distant worlds fell into dreams they'd never forget. And the walls between life and death grew thin. Leora kissed him again. And this time, the kiss was not theirs alone. It was shared by 1,000 lovers across the stars, by soldiers in trenches, by prisoners in chains, by widows and wanderers. Everyone moaned. Together. But in that moment of perfect union, a cold shadow entered the skiff. It did not speak. It did not breathe. It was Project Cold Soul, and it raised a hand made of anti-feeling. Its fingers touched Jax's neck, and the stars screamed. The starborn child. The galaxy held its breath. After the scream, there was silence, so heavy, so sharp, it sliced through time itself. Even the stars seemed to pause, and in that silence, something ancient died, and something even more ancient was born. Project Cold Soul had touched Jax. It was created for this single purpose: to erase love, to kill warmth, to destroy the pulse of pleasure itself. When its hand reached Jax's neck, the pleasure wave shattered. Planets fell into darkness. Lovers lost each other mid-sentence. Flowers wilted across moons that had never known life. And Jax collapsed. Lyra caught him as he fell. His glow was gone. The golden symbols on his skin vanished like ash in the wind. "No," she whispered. "No, not now. Not like this." Her tears struck his chest, but they didn't burn. They froze. Cold Soul turned to her next. It moved silently, a black figure of absence. Its body was made of forgotten things, forgotten touches, forgotten names, forgotten warmth. It reached out, but Leora didn't move. She placed her hand on Jax's heart, and she remembered. Not just her love, not just his touch. She remembered everything. The day she first ruled. The night she slept alone, wondering if power was worth loneliness. The day she touched Jax's skin and the stars blinked. She remembered the moan of the galaxy. She remembered his laugh, his whisper, "I just wanted to save people." And with those memories, she did the impossible. She kissed him again. The kiss was not soft. It was not sweet. It was alive. It carried fire. It carried the echo of a scream that built planets. And in that kiss, she gave him all of herself, her memories, her power, her desire, her pain. And Jax woke, but not as Jax. He rose with golden light pouring from his eyes. His hair flowed like a solar flare. His body no longer had edges. It pulsed like a star wrapped in flesh. Even Cold Soul took a step back, because this was not a man. This was a starborn. Jax reached toward the assassin. But instead of destroying it, he touched it, not to kill, to feel. And Cold Soul, built to resist all feeling, trembled. A single memory returned to it. A mother's smile. It dropped to its knees and disintegrated with a sigh. Jax turned to Leora. She stood in awe, her lips trembling. "I saw you disappear," she whispered. "I wasn't gone," he said. "I just needed your memory to come back." She laughed through her tears. "You sound like a god." He smiled. "No, I'm just your echo." They embraced. But this time, the embrace carried purpose. The pleasure that exploded from their bodies wasn't chaotic. It was structured, mathematical, like blueprints for a new kind of universe. All across the galaxy, time travelers who had forgotten their own names suddenly wept with joy. Star whales in the black oceans of space sang lullabies. Children were born with tiny stars in their palms. And the pulse returned, but not as noise. It returned as clarity. Then it happened. Leora collapsed. Jax caught her, but she was smiling. "I'm not dying," she said softly. "I'm changing." She placed his hand on her belly. And for the first time, he felt it. A second heartbeat. "The child," he whispered. She nodded. "He's part of you." "No," she said. "She's part of us." In that moment, the galaxy experienced something it had not known in billions of years. Hope. Not fear. Not lust. Not even love. But something stronger. A future. 9 months later, on a crystal moon surrounded by stars in bloom, the starborn child entered the world. She did not cry. She hummed, a soft, sweet tone that vibrated through every sun and every ship. Every person in the galaxy paused and smiled. Even those who hated her parents felt a strange peace, because they knew, this child is not a threat. This child is the key. She will not rule through fear. She will rule through feeling. The Empress stepped down, not because she was weak, but because she knew the next ruler needed no throne. Just a heartbeat. Jax disappeared shortly after. Some say he became a comet. Others say he dissolved into the stars. Some claim he visits people in dreams and fixes broken hearts. But the child remained, glowing, laughing, asking every person she met the same question. "What do you feel when you look at the stars?" And far away, in a quiet, dying galaxy, one of the ancient echoes whispered, "Let the universe moan again. Let it cry and laugh and ache, because the starborn has come, and she will not stop until every planet remembers how to feel." ***.